morning. Father Steve Mattson, pastor of the Church of the Resurrection in Lansing. And if you read Father Matthias's bulletin article, we did a pulpit swap this week. And I don't know if in that article or last week, he said that we were a part of a priest fraternity for about 7 years and not to believe anything I said about him. Now, I was going to say good things, so you can't believe those. Actually, I'm here because Father Matthias asked me to talk about my own experience with the JP2 Healing Center. They'll be offering a retreat here November 29th in the evening. That's a Thursday. November 30th in the evening, and then Saturday. And I just can't encourage you or anyone that you know, love, struggle to love, to come. You might say that's high praise. Well, let me just tell you why I say that. A couple of years ago, I went out to Seattle. A priest friend of mine, pastor there, and he invited me to preach a men's retreat, and I did. And we had a couple of days together, which was wonderful. And he talked about this ministry in Tallahassee, Florida, the JP2 Healing Center. Dr. Bob Schutz was the founder, and his brother works with them, and Sister Miriam James, you may know her. And he had said, I need to get this book, Be Healed, a guide to encountering the powerful love of Jesus in your life. And I wrote it down. I didn't order it. Probably 6 weeks later, I've got an opportunity. You can make an appointment with me just by signing on to this website called Calendly, and I have no idea why people are coming. One time, representatives of Aflac came. And I was superintendent at the time. They were hoping to get a contract in with the Diocese of Lansing. And they drove in from Flint and Detroit. And I had to tell them, sorry, I don't make those decisions. But if you want to talk, we can talk. Anyway, this guy came and he had a bag from the JP2 Healing Center. And he put it on my table. And it was like the Lord was saying, Stephen, he doesn't call me Father. Does he call you Father? He doesn't, exactly. Read it. And I read it. And it made me both excited and angry. Excited because I saw in it a key to unlock the human heart, the biblical principles. I was angry because I didn't read it when I heard about it. See, about a week before I got the book and started reading it, a parishioner told me that her son had relapsed and was struggling some more with drug addiction. And in fact, he had died of an overdose. And I realized that had I had this material, now we can't force hearts, we can't coerce that, but there were resources that came to light in light of this book and the retreat that's going to be here at the end of November that could have, I really believe, helped Adam, was his name, come to believe that he was loved and lovable, that he was not alone, that he was not powerless, that he didn't have reason to be ashamed, that he didn't have to give up hope, that he didn't have to suffer from eternal confusion, those wounds that all of us at one time or another can experience. Needless to say, reading the book was powerful for me. I signed up for a retreat the first part of January 2017, and I went. And after having read the book, and you don't have to read the book before you come to the retreat, but I did, and I came in ready to be healed. I wanted to be freer than I was. I wanted to be able to love better, and I wanted to be free of patterns of sin in my life. In the preface of the book, Father Mark Toops talks about the great sacrament of reconciliation, and I hope you make use of it regularly. But what do? We come into the sacrament, and a lot of people say, here I am again. I'm kind of embarrassed to say it's the same old sins. And I say to them, isn't it better that it's the same old sins than you're just going to try to check them all out? Right? I mean, no, I've mastered those, but I'm going to go after a bunch of other sins. The truth is we sin for reasons. And it's not that you're bad. You sin for reasons that after I've spent time praying with people, I realize, of course. This is why you're trapped in this pattern of pursuing pleasure in the internet in one way or another, or through drugs. You're looking for love, and you've made a decision because you don't feel loved, you're going to love yourself, and it never really works. So all of these insights have helped me be more compassionate. And actually, I mean, I'm sure that Father John is a great giver of advice in the reconciliation room, right? But the truth is, brothers and sisters, not much of what we say matters. In my parish, just realizing that we need, the answer to all of your problems is that you need to be healed. Pope Benedict XVI said, seen at a sufficiently deep level, healing is the entire essence of redemption. Healing my heart, healing my relationships, and most of all, my relationship with God. Healing is the answer. And I said, and please don't be scandalized, I said to my parish several times, to hell with trying harder. Because we try. I'm gonna. Some of you have given up trying, right? To overcome sin. And I'm just going to tell you that you can be freer. I won't say you won't be tempted, but you'll be freer. The compulsion to sin in this way or that will be lessened. The more healed, more whole. Healing and holiness and wholeness are all a part of the same mystery. Some people come to me and they say, Father, I don't think I'm ever going to get over this or that struggle. And I said, do you think you're going to struggle with this in heaven? And sometimes they say, I hope I get there. And I said, I hope you do too. But you won't struggle with this in heaven. So it must be possible that you can be healed. And I'm just here today to tell you that if you let God, He will heal you. And I know that Father Matthias and Encounter Ministries is doing a lot with inner healing and physical healing. But the most important healing is the healing of human hearts. And I know that the Lord wants to heal every human heart. There is no one whose heart He does not want to heal. He may let you suffer from this or that physical malady, but He wants your heart to be whole and healed. When I went to the retreat, I was all in. I wanted to just be honest and let the Lord do what He had for me and not to pretend about anything. And so you are given an exercise, and you will be on the retreat as well, to kind of look at your life and to see which of the mortal sins are present in your life. And I hope you don't think bad of me that I'm proud that I only found 6. There are 7. And then I realized that all 7. And if I might be so bold, you probably have that too. Right? So one of the exercises that I went through on that retreat, and you would too, is to look back on our lives and to see those moments of woundedness. He has a diagram that's very helpful, I think. In the center of 3 concentric circles is the wounds of living. And all of us have been wounded. Every parents, just accept this, okay? Every parent wounds every child, however perfect they are. Every parent wounds every child. And I want you to feel better about the fact that God can heal the wounds that you have unintentionally caused. Bob Schutz talks about this guy who from early on in life, he struggled with pornography addiction, and through the prayer, he realized that there was a moment when he was 2, and he saw his mother nursing his infant sister. And he found, the Lord revealed to him, that he resented his sister, and he hated his mother. Now, she didn't do anything wrong, right? She was just feeding. But this is how the evil one gets us to believe lies. And so the wounds are there. And then around that, the next circle out is judgments we make about other people. She loves him, or she loves her, but not me. And lies we believe. I'm not lovable. I'm not as lovable as my sister. I'm not lovable at all. I'm alone. So wounds, judgments that we make about other people, about the world, about God, about maybe classes of people, men, women, could be racial judgments. And then around that, our inner vows that we make to protect ourselves from the pain of the wound of living. I don't want to feel that anymore. That's the whole self-medication. We know it doesn't work, but we try it. And the truth is, brothers and sisters, the more competent you are, the better your structures of inner vows. You seem okay. And some of you are relatively okay. But all of us are broken. And we're trying to figure out ways to accommodate. And Dr. Bob Schutz moved toward this model because he knew that his work as a therapist was just helping people manage. It wasn't helping them heal. And managing is not nothing, right? That's something. And I'm not critical of therapy. But it's not healing. It's not becoming whole. So I went and prayed through, just saw those 6 mortal sins and looked at my life. And there was a memory with my mother that I won't go into, but then I want to share with you an experience I had as I reflected on this with my father. I was probably 13 or 14. This was way before the internet. And I don't know where I read it or heard it, but they were having a conversation, he and my uncles, and I chimed in. You know, every young man wants to kind of step into the conversation, and my dad, who really seemed to have encyclopedic knowledge, right? He said, "That's not true." Now, he didn't mean what I took that to mean. What lie did I believe? I believed that I don't have what it takes. I don't measure up. I'm not man enough, okay? And I don't think, again, that he meant that. But I believe those things. And I made some judgments about him. He doesn't listen. He never listens. I don't care what he thinks. He doesn't respect me, all right? Now, some of those might be true, but they were judgments that caused bitterness between me and my dad. And I made some inner vows. One of them you might think is just laughable. Okay, well, this is what we do. The inner vow that I made is, I'm never going to not know. Right? No, you don't. That's not true. Now, I put pressure on myself to always know everything. And Father John will say, yep, he was a know-it-all. Yeah. No, it makes you insufferable. Now, I was almost always right, okay? I'm just going to say that. But I didn't have love in my heart. So I renounced the lie that somehow I wasn't lovable. And I announced the truth that I am a beloved son of the Father. That's my identity. That's their identity. That's your identity. That's who we are. And that I didn't have to be ashamed of not knowing, even if I didn't know. So I began there. Then I renounced the judgments of my father. And I renounced the inner vow. And the prayer of renouncing inner vows is, I renounce the inner vow. I realize that by my inner vows, I've tried to save myself. See, that's it. I've tried to be my own savior. And that never works, by the way. It's proud self-sufficiency. And so I renounced that. And then after that, Bob invited me to pray. And what I want you to hear, if nothing else, is whatever the painful moments are in your life, maybe it's happening right now. Sorry I've wounded you. There's a way that the Lord will allow us to have a do-over. Some of you are ashamed of things you've done or said. Would you like a do-over? A mulligan? So we just were there, and I prayed. And the Lord came, and in my imagination, it was like he put his arm around my shoulder, my 13 or 14-year-old self. He tapped my chest, and he leaned in, and he whispered to me, "You were right." Wow. And This was 2 years ago, and I wept. What a relief. You might say, Father, you must have been really neurotic. No, I'm just like you. Maybe you're neurotic too. But what a release and relief. I felt peace and a lightness in my spirit and joy. And Bob asked, so what are you experiencing? Peace, lightness, joy, a relief that I don't have to pretend that I know everything. I don't have to live scared that someone's going to say, you don't know what you're talking about. I didn't want to be naked and exposed and revealed. The next day, we prayed again, and I spent some time before the Blessed Sacrament, and we prayed again, and he wanted to just test that the healing had happened, because there might have been more. And so I went back to that memory again, and I imagine my dad saying what he said, and I remember feeling this, that's just Dad. Now, that wasn't dismissive, but it didn't affect me the same way. And I went off in my imagination to do stuff with my brothers and my cousins. Tremendous freedom. And I've seen this, brothers and sisters, with a lot of people in my ministry, staff members. Whenever I'm getting upset about this or that, when anything bothers me too much, I know I need to be healed. I want to ask for a show of hands, but if you have ever yelled at the TV set, okay, you need to be healed. I don't care if that's a politician or a fumble on the goal line. I don't know what. If your husband, your wife, your son, your daughter, your colleague, your boss, your pastor, your kids can push your buttons, you need to be healed. You might say, Father, what are you saying? That's exactly what I'm saying. You don't have to have buttons that people can push. And to the extent that you have buttons that people can push, you're not healed. And he can heal you. Wouldn't it be wonderful if your kids say something terribly disrespectful to you, you respond appropriately instead of giving it back to them? Wouldn't that be wonderful? Now, I'm not going to say that life becomes instantaneously easy. I'm just going to tell you that you're freer to respond well the more healed you are. If you have OCD, all right, some people do, that's an inner vow. I need to make sure the door is always locked. There's a wound there, right? There's a wound. You might say, well, that's a psychological condition. Yeah, but where did it come from? It came from an inner vow. I cannot be vulnerable. I need to protect myself. I need to protect those I love. Those are all good things, but they're compulsive. They're not free. Bob Schutz, his father left him when he was 11. His mother when he was 11, divorced her. And he was the oldest kid, and he took on a burden. That happens, right? And he made an inner vow. I'm never going to get divorced. That sounds so good, doesn't it? No, that isn't what God asks of us. He asks us to, if you're married, to pledge your troth to each other. You need to do all you can, but you cannot coerce the heart of your spouse. And to the extent that you think that you can control them, you're trying to play God. And that's the challenge, brothers and sisters, that we try to play God so that our lives are more manageable. And the more we can admit that our lives are not manageable, but there is one who can heal us and make us whole, we can live more freely. When I came back from the retreat, flew back on a Tuesday, Wednesday morning, all the kids at the school mass were there, and I just had this overwhelming sense of love for these kids. Wow, I know their story, and I want the Lord to just heal them and make them whole and help them know that they're loved. At the end of Mass, I said, it reminded me. Now let me just say, I was a caring, loving priest before I went. At least I think so. But the image that came to my mind as I was thinking about my heart just kind of going out to these kids and to my staff and to their families was the Grinch Who Stole Christmas. In Whoville, they say the Grinch's heart grew 3 sizes that day. What's interesting is no one would have thought that I was not caring, but here's the difference. I knew as a priest I was supposed to care. You see the difference? And husbands, you're not just supposed to care. God wants you to love your wives as yourselves. You can't do it, not on your own. And wives, kids, the Lord wants to heal you. And He will if we let Him. Some of you know about the Unbound Ministry, and I'm a big advocate of Unbound. I think this is more comprehensive than Unbound. What it does is it figures out what wounds and bitter root judgments the spirits are attaching themselves to. And once they're healed, the spirits have nothing to hold on to. That's a better way to go, seems to me. And nothing against Unbound. I'm just saying, if you're an Unbound fan, this is not the same. It's complementary. And I think it goes deeper because it adds that element of inviting Jesus there to heal you. I've experienced it. I can't encourage you enough to give yourself this gift, to give your families this gift. And some of you might say, well, I know my kids need that. Parents, how do you heal your kids? Be healed, right? I mean, one of the problems we have is we've got programs for everybody else, right? I'm just saying, whether your spouse comes or not come, now don't fight about it. I'm not saying that. But if you're open, the Lord can do tremendous work. Let me encourage you to let Him heal you and make you whole, that you can love the way you want to love.